to Discover Marshalltown. I'm your host, Denny Gravenbauer. During Discover Marshalltown, we like to talk about people in our community that work in our community and serve the community. And no other better segue to this show is my guest today, Chief Mike Tupper, Marshalltown Police Chief Mike Tupper. And Mike,
how you doing?
Glad to have you on Discover Marshalltown.
Well,
first time we've had the opportunity to do this.
Well, I've only worked here 5 years,
well,
and you just now asked me.
I realize that, but we kind of had after doing this for 6 years, that I kind of took a little bit of a break, and now we're bringing back the big guns, so to speak.
I'll do my best.
As you say, you've been here 5 years, and coming over from Story County and the town of Nevada, it's been a quick 5 years.
Yeah, this fall will be 5 years for my wife and I, and we're very happy to be here, very happy to call Marshalltown home, and it's been a great experience for us and a great learning experience for me, and I'm very proud to be able to serve the community and work for the Marshalltown Police Department.
What inspires a young man to get in law enforcement?
I think all people pursue this career because they want to help people. When I was, I'll be honest with you, Denny, I went to college to play football and chase.
You're a football player?
Chase girls.
Well, yeah, okay.
I played.
You couldn't do either one, so
that's true.
You get into law enforcement.
But
help people.
So when I was done playing football, I had to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life and how I was going to make a difference. And my younger brother actually was pursuing a law enforcement career and taking some classes at Hawkeye Tech up in Waterloo. And I decided, that sounds pretty good, because I was looking for a job where I wouldn't be stuck in an office all the time, and I've kind of ended up with an office job.
All the time, yeah.
I thought it'd be a great way to help people, give back to the community, and I like working with people. I wasn't much for public speaking, so I didn't think I'd have to do much of that as a police
You've got
officer.
very good at that, though.
I get to do a lot of public speaking now.
I hear you on the radio quite often, and you do a good job.
Well, thank you.
You do a good job.
I get a lot of practice. And I have a face for radio, so I don't know how.
I wasn't going to bring that up on TV, but since you brought that up, we've seen you in different places representing Marshalltown, like singing in the window at Denny's hometown TV and Appliance Center.
Yeah, because I have good friends like you that always ask me to do these things.
You're one of these guys that never really says no. Again, you're all about the community. You like to see the community have fun, and you have fun in the community.
Yeah, I think it's important for people in the community to know their police officers and certainly their police chief and have a relationship with those folks. In order for us to be effective as a law enforcement agency, we need the community's help, and we need the community's support. And I think we're really blessed here in Marshalltown to have a lot of support for law enforcement, for public safety. And as you've probably noticed around the country, it's not always that way. So we've been very blessed here, and I really love the opportunities that I get. I saw a lot of unique opportunities. I never thought I'd be singing in a storefront.
Store window.
I get to talk to a lot of different groups, and it's just been a great experience.
You wonder. You went through the policeman on the beat, so to speak, and what made you decide you wanted to be a police chief?
That was really always a goal of mine from the very beginning, and I just wanted to have the opportunity to really impact a community and impact an organization, and to be able to give back to the folks that I'm working with and working for. And being a police chief is one of those jobs where you're kind of a jack of all trades, and some might say master of none, but you get to be involved with a lot of different things, and hopefully I've made a difference, and I'm making an impact, I hope, on a daily basis.
Some things not real desirable, but them are the things that goes along with the job.
Yeah, it can be a tough job, but I'm fortunate to work with a lot of great people, both in the police department and in the community. So that makes the job a lot easier.
You mentioned the other day, or you said just now, you're behind the desk and doing paperwork. You said, I know the other day we were talking, kind of visiting, and you said you were out rolling around on the ground with somebody. So, and maybe it is a community this size. You got to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, Marshalltown's still a small town, and so one of the things I really like about my job is I actually get to do some real police work occasionally, and it's not as much as I would like. But it just so happened a couple weeks ago we were busy. Some people needed some help. I just happened to be right place, right time, and I got to do some real live police work for once. So that was a good day.
Get back in the trenches again.
Yeah, get back into the trenches, and I didn't get hurt, so that's a good day.
That mark that one up on the blackboard. One of the big projects you've had the last couple of years is, of course, we're looking at Marshalltown needs a new police station.
Yeah.
If you haven't been through it, you need to go through it, because how do I put this politely, but the station you're at now is quite frankly a dump.
It's in
It's
really,
bad.
it's in really bad condition. It's in horrible condition. And the thing that I really worry about is for the safety of our staff, because we don't have the security measures that we need in that building, and it also impacts public safety, because when we arrest somebody, I think you expect that we're going to be able to hold on to them. They're not going to get away from us. I can't promise you that in our current facility, because we just don't have any security measures in that building. And it's just not a very efficient place for our police officers to work anymore.
You've outgrown it.
We've outgrown
You've
it.
outgrown
We've
the area.
outgrown it, and our 911 center for all of Marshall County is in the basement of the police department, and the basement floods. We got to fix that. We can't have that happening.
You know, and being the chair of the 911 commission, being able having to be down there in a lot of times the spring of the year, when the fans are going and trying to dry out the carpet and trying to keep out, and it's moldy, it's mildewy down there, and it's not really a very healthy environment.
No, it's a horrible environment for our staff, and the carpets are almost always wet through the spring and summer. But I've gone downstairs, and my captains have their pant legs rolled up, and they're beating back water to try to keep it from the 911 center. So at some point, as a community, we have to figure this out, and we have to correct the problem. And as you know, the fire department also has a need, and so I think we're looking at maybe a joint police and fire facility.
And I think, getting the community on board, I think the community would agree we need one.
Yeah.
And of course, monies and dollars are hard to come up with sometimes, right? Especially right now. And I think once we get the right fix, and I really feel confident that we've got the right engineer right now that are working with you guys, and you and David, Captain Ryerson, are doing a good job in selling your point, and it just has to happen.
Well, it does at some point, and it's not going to get any cheaper.
Right.
I think Mayor Lawrence and City Administrator Wetmore have done a great job of putting together a citizens advisory committee to help with this project, and we seem to be getting a lot more input from the public than we did the first time around. So fingers crossed that we can continue forward in a positive direction and accomplish these building projects that have been needed in Marshalltown for many, many years.
And I guess one more thing I'll say is on one of the tours, and I've been on 2 or 3 of them with you and with your groups, but we were down in that one holding area, down in the basement and back in the corner, and there was a pop bottle that was up in there, and you had said that had been there for years.
Catching water.
Catching water, so when it drains down, and this is an important part of your area, because this is where the bad guy comes.
That's where.
And there was no protection around that.
No, there's nothing really keeping the bad guy where the bad guy needs to be. And right below where those pipes leak, we have a lot of electronic equipment where we're doing photographs and fingerprinting and alcohol testing, stuff like that. So it's just, that building has served its purpose. We've outgrown it. Our staffing has doubled in size from the time we moved in there back in the early 80s. So it's just time for something else. And what I always tell people in Marshalltown they don't realize is in the history of our community, we've never built a police department.
Right.
Never.
And don't you suppose that's just something in a lot of areas that is overlooked because maybe people take it for granted? You don't need a station because you're out in the cars all the time. But with this specialization of police work, your detectives almost have an area that I remember. Again, one of the tours was on. We was sitting in the interrogation room. And you could hear the people walking by the hallway. And one of your officers, or maybe even you made the comment that if the guy that you were trying to find something out about, they would interrogate them in there, he knows what they're saying about it. And there's just no privacy at all.
There is no privacy, and I think where that is a really serious impact for our community is when we bring in a victim of a crime and say we have a female who's been sexually assaulted, and we have to bring her in, and she has to talk about this event that's very tragic, very difficult to talk about, and I can't offer her a private location to have that conversation.
Right.
That's not only not professional, it's just shameful. We're better than that. Marshalltown's better than that, and I'm hopeful that we can get this project accomplished.
So hopefully we can get it done this time, and people will buy into it and approve it and make it work for you.
Yeah, I hear from people all the time. They're saying, "Hey, you're doing a pretty good job from where you're at." So I don't know that we need to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, there you go.
But I don't think people have a full understanding of why. That building is a tool. It's a resource that we use to provide services. and we just can't meet the needs of a 21st century community or police department anymore from that building.
Moving on to kind of another subject that, and of course, the coffee guys always want to know about different things, but the police academy.
Yeah.
You kicked that off, I believe, a week ago.
A couple
maybe
weeks
10
ago
days
now, yep.
And that is really a very good learning tool to the citizen that really don't know what your officers' jobs curtail.
It is.
I took it one time, and I mean, I was absolutely amazed and about what goes on. Sure, we see you driving around the streets. Sure, we see you picking up a speeder and so on and so on.
Yeah.
But there is so much to that, and that police academy is such a good way for people in the community to be involved.
It really is. It's an eye-opening experience, I think, for a lot of folks, because I think we watch TV or we see news clips and we think we know what the police officers do on a daily basis. You really don't know until you spend some time in the car, or you spend some time in the 911 center and you get to watch them work, or you come to a class and you get to speak or hear from a speaker, hear from a police officer who talks about their daily assignments. I think it's been a very successful program for our community. We have 30 plus people in the Citizens
And that's
Academy
quite a few,
membership.
isn't it?
It is, yeah. But that's how it's been for the last 5-6 years. 30 plus people every year, because we have a lot of support and there's a lot of interest in what we're doing. And sometimes people come to my door and they want to be in this academy because they might not really be a fan of law enforcement, but they're willing to open their mind and learn more. And after 10 weeks, they walk out a believer, and they walk out a fan of the Marshalltown Police Department. We have tremendous staff here, and the great thing about this academy is people get to meet the people that are doing the job every day. I think the public gets to see me out and about a lot, but I want you to get to know the true heroes, or the people that are doing the job on a daily basis, because we have some superstars.
You know, the academy shows every aspect, and you know, from the fingerprints to shooting the guns, to driving the cars, to making arrests.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the night that I was in the car making the arrest, you know, that was my, you know.
Did they let you make the arrest?
Chris Jones was the guy I was running in, and I could not believe how scared I was walking up to that car with that driver in the seat.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, and I've seen, they showed us pictures of officers at 2 o'clock in the morning pulling a suspect over and having to get out of that car and go up to that truck or car. And I was a mess. I took the gun out, you know, and luckily I didn't have any bullets in it. Or poor Chris, I don't know what would have happened to him. But I ended up drawing the gun, and they go, "Wait a minute, Officer Gravenbauer. This was a woman that just pulled out of a convenience store and didn't have her turn light on or something."
Yeah, yeah.
It really gives you a different view of what that officer goes through.
Yeah, and our officers face dangerous situations on a daily basis. And you don't hear much about those situations because they're handled so well and so professionally. And it's very rare that officers in Marshalltown or Marshall County have to use force of any kind. We're able to resolve situations peacefully most of the time. But the police officers never know what they're going to face when they walk up to that car or they walk up to that house. And it can be a very dangerous profession.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here because we're going to reload the camera again, and talk a little bit about something that you're very passionate with, is the Crime Stopper program. Excellent. We'll be right back.
can you take this away? I don't feel safe with the gun in my house.
All right, we got the film back in the camera. We're back and reloaded and ready to go again. My guest today is Marshalltown Police Chief Michael Tupper. And again, Michael, it's great to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And you know, we talk about the getting the policemen, your department, out with the people in the community. You guys started a program, Coffee with a Cop.
Yeah.
There's been 2 or 3 different
Couple times.
days.
Yep.
And how has that went over? How has that perceived?
It's been, it's exceeded our expectations. It's been very successful. I think we had hoped that there would be some support for that program, but we've had 2 events so far, and they've been well attended, and they've been great learning experiences, I think, for the public to some degree, but for us especially. And the great thing about Coffee with the Cop is, again, people get to meet the people that are doing the job every
Right.
day. We've specifically, and a lot of people ask me, why aren't you attending this event, Chief? Well, it's not for supervisors, it's not for the police chief, it's for the folks that are actually doing the job every day, so that they can get to know their public and get to know the community in a non-confrontational setting, and so that our community members can get to know the police officers that are doing the job. And we have some 911 operators that will attend those events as well. We strongly believe in community policing, we strongly believe in open lines of communication, and I think that this program has been a great informal way for us to build relations with the public.
Don't you think it takes some of the pressure off the officer too?
It does.
That now he can kind of get to know people.
Yeah, they get to relax and just be human, right?
Exactly.
I think a lot of times people forget that police officers are just like everybody else. They're trying to take care of their families, they're trying to make a living, they're trying to do the best that they can, they're human. And we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna certainly have our challenges from time to time. But I think once you get to know our cops serving in Marshalltown, you'll find out that they're dedicated to the community and that they want to provide the best service that they can.
You know, I was down at that first one down at Hy-Vee that morning, and the officers were having a great time. You know, and they felt no pressure. Nobody was trying to pin them in the corner.
Yeah.
And I know with your job, everybody's now, why'd you pull this person over? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
And they were able to talk to us and you know, really on a one-on-one, if nothing else, about the Iowa State Cyclones or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They were like you say, they were human.
Yeah, you get to know them on that
Yeah,
basic
yeah.
human level and get to know them as just another community member.
It's really kind of neat doing that. You know, again, in the first part of the show, we were talking about the police station and what we're doing there. Is there a website and we can put on the screen? How can they get a hold of see the videos that I know McTV has done some of that?
Yes, they have, and I just forgot the website for
I
that,
have
but it's
too.
going to be on the screen.
It'll be on the screen right there
So-
there in front of us.
So just check out that website address, and there's a great video that MCC TV put together for the city that show it's very descriptive about the challenges that we're facing in the police department.
Okay. You know, one of the reasons that I thought you'd be very good for this show today is something that was started back in January, and that's your Crime Stopper program.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I sat in a couple of those early meetings, and we had a representative from Story County that come over and was explaining the Crime Stopper program to us. Give us a rundown on that, why it was started, how it was started, and so on.
Okay. Well, you might remember back in late 2014, early 2015, we were experiencing really an unprecedented uptick in some violent crime. And there were a lot of concerns about crime in our community, and thankfully since January of 2015, things have really calmed down and we haven't had a lot of problems. But the community was very interested in how they could help the police department and help law enforcement police the community. And Clark Weidman from Marshalltown Broadcasting called me up one day and wanted to get together for some coffee, and he just asked me, what can we help with? What can the community do to make a difference? And I told him, I said, you know, I'd like to start a Crime Stoppers program in Marshall County. Crime Stoppers is a national program. There's several programs in Iowa, and there's programs across the country, and it's a very easy way for the community to work with law enforcement and help law enforcement police the community. And the beauty about Crime Stoppers is people can call in with information about crime anonymously. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we have to getting people to cooperate with police, is because they're afraid of their name being attached to something. So you can call anonymously, you can send us a tip via text, via email, through the Crime Stoppers website, and you can provide that information to us that we might need to solve a crime. We were able to go live with the Marshall County Crime Stoppers program. It's not just Marshalltown. Marshall County Crime Stoppers program, September 1st of 2015. And since that time, we've received almost 70 tips
I heard,
now.
I heard you say that the other night, and you were saying where Story County had what, 20 or 30?
26 in their first year.
First year.
First year.
Why are we getting so much cooperation with them?
Well, I think it starts with the great community board that Clark
sure.
Weidman was able
Sure.
to assemble. And I think the other important factor in our success has been that Clark brought in all of the local media. So he got the Times Republican on board, he got KDAO on board. All of our local media are working together as a team to help with this project. We have a superstar community board, and this is the other beauty of this program is it's community driven. Law enforcement, the Sheriff's Office, Marshalltown Police Department, State Center Police Department, we serve in an advisory capacity only. We don't make decisions, we give advice. And we have this great community board that is leading this effort, and it's really gotten the community involved. So we've almost 70 tips, we've made a couple of arrests in the first 6-7 months that this program has been on board. And the Crime Stoppers group has been so successful in fundraising that they decided to go after a cold case. And you might remember about 14, 15 years ago, we had a murder in Marshalltown. Isla Mae Clark was tragically killed. That case remains unsolved. So the Crime Stoppers, Marshall County Crime Stoppers, has offered a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest, and that's brought some new attention to a case that really needed it.
Now, did this come out of that board?
Yes, it did.
It did?
Absolutely. So the board is, it's, a lot of these projects have been driven by community members again, and that's the beauty of this program, because it's a great way for the community to partner with law enforcement. And we just provide advice, and they run with it, and they've done a great job.
You know, you talk about the board, and let's explain that a little bit, because the board, it is a complete, is it 501c3?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit organization, so if you make a donation, it's tax deductible. And they have bylaws, they put together meeting rules, all that stuff that you might see in a normal board of director for a nonprofit. So,
Also has a treasurer, secretary.
Absolutely.
You know, a budget.
a budget,
Budget, you know, and,
Yeah.
and that's the key to the rewards, correct?
It is the key to the rewards, because if we ever get to the point where we don't have that money to offer,
Sure.
it kind of makes the program useless at that point. So the board has so far paid out a couple of rewards. We're still getting tips in too, so that's good.
There again, do people shy away from reporting an incident? And this will kind of help them
Yeah, a lot of people will
be anonymous?
Yeah, a lot of people will be reluctant to allow their name to be attached to a
Sure.
report, but they're calling us anonymously, or they're texting us anonymously, and we have no way of finding out who that person is, even if we want to. So.
Now explain that a little bit, because I remember at that one meeting,
Yeah.
you said how that happens. It goes to a classified, a certain email, so you really do not know who is calling.
We have no idea. It's a fairly complex software system that we had to purchase as part of this program. But the great thing about it is even now, if somebody would call 911 anonymously, they don't leave their name. Maybe they call from a cell phone number, so we're not able to see what address they're calling from, and they give us a piece of information and hang up the phone. We have no ability to ask follow-up questions at that point,
Sure.
right? With this Crime Stoppers program, they can send text messages or emails. They can remain anonymous. We have no way of figuring out who they are, but we can have that free flow of communication back and forth, because our detectives can ask follow-up questions via text, via email, get more information, and I think that's what's made this program so successful so far.
Why don't you give the phone number, just so, and we'll put that on the screen
Okay.
too.
The phone number is 641-753-1234.
And the website or the text?
The website is just Google Marshall County Crime Stoppers.
I see. And, you know, so you said this is a national program, and I think, where was it? It started out in California?
Yeah.
Back in 80s?
Yeah, early 80s. I
Early
believe.
80s?
Yeah.
And it has just kind of grown nationally, but it's just a matter of picking it up and implement it here in our community.
Yeah, well, it was a matter of having enough motivated community members that wanted to make a difference.
I see.
And that's what we found.
Because it just wouldn't work if the police
No,
department.
no, this would not work if it
Police
was just
sure.
law enforcement
Right.
driven. You really need to have community involvement because, you know, as your police chief, I can't go out in the community and try to raise money for this effort. This all has to be community driven,
Mhm.
okay? And I think when it is community driven, you get the public more involved with their law enforcement.
Mhm.
And one of the things I like to tell people all the time is I'm honored that you've allowed me to be your police chief. Honored to have that opportunity. But I can't be everywhere, my cops can't be everywhere. We need the public to be involved. And we all have a responsibility in this community for the policing in this community. And this is just one of those programs that we've utilized to bring the public closer to us and get them involved in what we're doing on a daily basis.
Now, I'll play a skeptic now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think you can get information on a case, on this cold case, as you're calling it, 14 years ago?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm convinced that there's somebody out
Somebody,
there.
I know, I hear the ad, and you almost get goosebumps every time you
Absolutely.
hear it, because how can we trace that back 14 years ago, you know?
Well, I think what might help us in the end with this case, and we're still investigating this possibility, but DNA technology has advanced a lot
Sure.
in the last 14, 15 years. So we're going to be asking the DCI, and we have asked the DCI to retest some of the evidence from that case. But I'm also convinced that there's somebody out there in the public that has enough the information, the piece of the puzzle that we need to solve this. You know, these complex crimes are like jigsaw puzzles. We have a lot of the pieces. We're missing a couple of the key pieces. There's somebody in the public that has that piece of information that we need, and maybe for the $5,000 reward, that'll be enough to get incentive for them to get involved.
And, okay, now, say it does come to the head, we are able to get some information. How does that person receive the $5,000 reward, again, anonymously?
Okay. The Crime Stoppers Board has set up a process. So if you call in with a tip, you're assigned a number, okay? That's how we identify you, is with a number. So if your tip leads to an arrest, we would contact you through that secure process that's already set up through the Crime Stopper software system.
And you still don't know who I am?
I still don't know who you are.
Okay.
And they would either issue a check or get a prepaid debit card, something like that. And
Oh, okay.
they set up an opportunity for you to come pick it up from, actually they're using US Bank here in Marshalltown right now as the pickup point. So they don't have to come inside, they go through the drive-through, they tell the teller, give them the number, the Crime Stoppers number. And this meeting is pre-set up, so we know that they're gonna come at a certain time. They get the check and they drive off.
And there again, it's a confidence for
Yeah.
them that they're not gonna be followed home, they're not gonna be
No.
traced back.
No.
And I think that is the beautiful part of this Crime Stopper program.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing is though with this program is we've actually had some people that they don't really give a hoot whether or not their name is attached. They have some information and they realize that they can get some reward money, so
Sure.
they're calling for the reward money too, and that's okay. You know, I
Mhm.
guess we might call them an entrepreneur. I
But
don't know.
there you go, small
But-
business owner.
You know, actually, the two cases that we solved were based on tips from people that they didn't care about being anonymous. They just cared about the reward.
Mhm. Now, you know, you look at that, and how is it determined who gets the reward?
Well, what'll happen is if we feel like somebody's given information that was helpful, law enforcement, we'll go to the Crime Stoppers Board, we'll brief them on what happened, and then that community board will decide, number
There again,
one,
it's not the police officers,
it's not.
law enforcement has nothing to do with it.
we have nothing to do with it. So the community board will decide, should they get a reward, and how much should that be?
Mhm. So it just kind of plays out that way.
Yeah.
And there again, that's a pretty anonymous way to do things, I guess. And again, that's one of the things that impressed me by listening to the officers that come over from Story County that day.
Yeah, and our program has been so successful that Story County is now calling
No
us,
kidding.
asking for some advice.
No kidding.
Yeah, we've been very successful. This is another area where the public's support of this project has exceeded all expectations.
I'll be done. That's just fantastic. It's just great the way you guys are doing that. Great for the community to back it and be interested in it. Like you said, the board, man, you gotta just applaud
Yeah.
the community that's on that board.
Yeah, we have a great board, and I won't be able to name them all, but I would like to just say Clark Weidman was the first chair of that board, and he has done a phenomenal job leading this effort.
I'll tell you what, you guys do a phenomenal job, and you know, the coffee with a cop is a great thing. Again, if you have a Crime Stopper tip that you would like to, just call 754-1234.
753-1234.
753-1234. I'll probably get a speeding ticket on the way home from this today, but, Chief Tupper, thank you for joining us on Discover Marshalltown.
Thank you. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Well, we'll probably put it on the calendar
All right.
if Craig can find one, but, it's fun hearing the good side about the job of law enforcement in Marshall County area, Marshalltown, Marshall County, so.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for all
much.
that you do for the people in the community.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And we want to thank you for joining us. You've been watching Discover Marshalltown with Marshalltown Police Chief Mike Tupper. We'll see you next time.